Stuff. Hey, buddy. Y'all see I took his little bell out. He still wears the collar, but I took his bell out because it was making Ringo mad at him. Ringo did not like that. So he still has the collar, so he still feels big shot, but I took the little ding-a-ling bell out. This whole thing reminds me of something that I read not too long ago. I think it goes something like, the things that trigger you, it's your responsibility to deal with. It is not the world's obligation to try to tiptoe around you. I mean, think about it for a minute. This is exactly what I'm talking about over here. If there's things that trigger you, that you may feel strongly about, guys, you have to learn to deal with that. You don't make the entire world change its ways so as not to offend you, so as not to hurt your feelings, so as not to... No, it's... Where are my goats? Where are my goats? Why am I making this... Maggie, why is it just you and me on this journey alone? So this morning, we're going to try to walk the goats down towards the river. You guys want to come along with us? We've not been down to the river in over a week. Jamie and I had taken our little getaway, our out of town for the conference. Come on, babies, this way. Follow Daddy. Ringo is moving very slow today, friends. Come on, little goats. I got a box of Cheerios with me, which will hopefully pull them this way. Yeah, the shaking of the box seems to do the trick. Come on, little ones. Come on, babies. We've not been down here in a while. So, yeah, so what I've done to be a little bit smarter, working smarter, not harder, is to bring a little box of Cheerios with me. Uh-oh. Come on, littles! Because what we don't want to have... Come on, babies! What we don't want to have are all of the goats go straight to the barn, to the feed room. Here, come on! Guys, give me a moment here to find the other goats. Well, friends, I'll tell you, in case you're expecting to see a whole herd of goats behind me, you're not. The goats have kind of divided themselves in half. Half stayed up on top of the ridge. The other half are making their way down behind me. But nonetheless, I came for a walk this morning, and that's what I'm going to do. I have my sweet Maggie. Come on, Maggie. I got Mr. Huck. Ringo has stayed up on top of the hill, and you know what? That's fine. I'm not going to force Ringo down here. He may not feel well. As far as his arthritis and aching bones, poor guy. But I'll walk with you, and thank you for joining me. If you choose to stick around, I'll tell you what happened. I feel bad for Jamie. Now, you all know, and I have to be careful how I say this because I don't want to get anyone in trouble, but we're talking about this conference that Jamie and I just got back from. You know, Jamie has been to many conferences. Jamie goes to conferences all the time. And the most recent one that she had to go to, for her line of work, Jamie's in the medical profession. She employs and manages doctors for a very large hospital groups, plural. Listen to this, though. So Jamie's branch is the OBGYN. Anyway, it's the maternity kind of stuff. Listen to y'all. Here goes the story. This is going to freak you out, and I hope to get some ideas, and I want to hear your thoughts. And if I'm way off base, then guys, don't hesitate to let me know. If I'm way off base, do not hesitate to let me know. But they are at a conference in California, and at some point, someone talks about something, and they say the word mother. And all of a sudden, the presenter stopped and let everyone know that they're no longer, get this, I'm not making this up, they are no longer allowed to use the or refer to the person giving birth as mother. You heard me right, because there are people who are sensitive, and that is, they find that offensive if the person who's actually giving birth, which traditionally is a mother, but in this day and age, not always. Now, guys, don't get me into hot water with any particular group. I don't know. But Jamie said that the entire room of people who you could just sense the feeling of, okay, this is going too far. You could just sense it, that this is going too far. When you can't even refer to the person giving birth as mother because of all of the changes in how people like to be referred, in, I guess it's what they call that as gender identity. That is really sad to me. That feels to me, and that noise you hear are the Cheerios, which no one seems to care about, because I think I've lost all of the herd of goats up on the top ridge. That is sad to me to know that with all of the beauty, all of the sacrifice, all of the labor pains, the changing motherhood, there's something special about that. And then if you completely remove that word from the vocabulary because of the fact that it's going to offend somebody, don't you think that it's even more offensive to all of the women who take great pride in the fact that they mothered a child or children, and all of the things that go into mothering a child and children, just because there's a certain population that is trying desperately to change the vocabulary to make things gender neutral. And obviously, when you refer to mother, then you're making it gender specific, and that has entered the realm of medicine when it comes to women's health, and it's no longer something that's acceptable. We've talked, and you know what? Listen to me. There are people every day. I wouldn't say every day, but there are people on lots of days that will send a message saying, Lester, stick to the animals. Stick to the animals. And there'll be people in the comments here that are going to say, Lester, stick to the animals. But those people must not get me at all, because I can talk with the animals, I can walk with the animals, but it's very rare that I focus only on the animals. This is my page where I like to sometimes vent and get things off my chest. And I tell you what, since Jamie got back from that conference and she told me that and we talked about it, and it just breaks my heart, because what's next? So I'm guessing, now of course in this conference it was about OBGYN, women's health, maternal health, and but is it also true that now they're going to also say you're not going to be able to use the word father? So is mother and father, because those are gender specific, going to also be removed from our vocabulary? And at what point does someone say, hey, come on, man. Come on, man. Enough is enough. Seriously, enough is enough. I hope those are not poisonous. Now, of course, there's no babies following me right now. So many of y'all have told me to get a special app. There's an app on my phone where I can take pictures of plants to see what they are. And you said I should probably do that. I'll tell you what, there's a lot of these bushes, whatever these are, there's a lot of them down here. There's some big, some are small. Oh my gosh, here's a whole bunch of them. And they grow natural. I never planted anything through here. But the goats are not following me. They have not come down. I don't even hear any bells, which means they have never left that top ridge. Darn it. This walk was for nothing. I guess it's for my health. Me and Maggie getting our exercise in. The river's still low. Even with the 4 inches of rain that we've gotten here at Longhorn Lester's over the last, I would say, 2 weeks, the river's still very low. When we first came to the property back in December, we first saw the property in December, I believe I did see some rocks. I could see some rocks. And the real estate agent told us the river was very low. I hadn't seen rocks since then until this month. And boy, there's a lot of rocks showing out there, which means the river's very low. But you would have thought with all the 4 inches of rain, I mean, our pond's holding water. That's good news. Yeah, I would like to hear your thoughts, y'all. I mean, I know that the folks who follow my page, I'm guessing that by and large, we all probably share similar beliefs. Look, when I said the goats had never left that top ridge, they don't want to come down here. They will not follow me down here, you bunch of lazy butts. But hey, why should they? If they're getting all they need for nutrition up there, why would they want to exert the energy to come down here with me? It's me that takes the walks. It's me that takes the walk. It's me who takes the walk. Hey, here's a funny story. This is a funny story. Y'all get this. So you know that when I walk down, I'm going to back up to that same spot where I was at last time. You know that when I walk down, and I always make sure that I wave a couple of times here and there. Do you know that a lady sent me an email? So here's what happened last time. So the very first lady who has the visions, who sees she sees the Native American on the sandbar. So I don't really know which sandbar she's referring to. I don't know. I don't really see a sandbar necessarily. The way I picture a sandbar, I don't really see a sandbar. And so I think there's like kind of a semi-sandbar over there. There's some sandbars up the river a little bit. This is just kind of a rock formation. So I don't really know which sandbar she's referring to. But I was standing right over here. I was standing right over here at this spot in my last river walking video. And what I did was, my wave, I only waved once on that video because we were in deep conversation. So I only come down and I only waved once, just like this, straight out across at the rocks. I waved one time. Okay? And then that was all I did. I continued my video and we talked about it. Do you know I got an email and it was real simple. She said, Lester, she said the Indian was standing to the left of where you were waving. Like, duh. So I'm thinking, okay, so if it was not here, so it must have been over there. And I'm like, how does everyone know this? How does everyone know this? How can everyone else see this thing except for me? But the way I was thinking about it was, I'm looking at the land, and I would think, look at the steep bank over there. Yet over here, you can see kind of a trail going up into the woods. So I would think that if someone was going to walk down to the river, they would come down that little spot there where you can actually see the trail. But no, I was wrong. It was over here. So now I'm just going to make sure to go ahead and just make sure everyone who's out watching I won't get it wrong. I will not get it wrong if I wave in every direction. I love that. I love that about people. I've really embraced that story more so than most people would. I have tried to read up and find out all I can about the different Native American groups who have inhabited this part of Texas in particular this region around the Trinity River, because I don't know exactly. Maybe it could be a variety of many different eras of Indians, Native Americans. But what would have to happen is this. Here's what would have to happen. Now, Mr. Dub and Sharon took all of the pottery and the arrowheads and the tools that they had found here over the 18 years of living here. They're gone. But I would think that what you might could do, if I was ever able to find one, maybe have it not sent off, but you might could have a someone that studies things like that could tell you what era it comes from. Because I'm sure there's people who do all kinds of studies on stuff like that. And they would probably know based on the shape, the type of stone, you know, what era of Indian, maybe even what tribe it came from. There was so much trading, though. There was so much trading going on between Indian groups that anything that you find here could very well likely not have come from here. It could have been traded from Indians as far away as, sheesh, who knows, Illinois? I say Illinois because that's about the furthest I've seen the trade routes go. I don't think they traded as far away as Canada. It's too far to travel. But can you imagine, friends? Can you imagine on horseback or walking, if you were a trader, a Native American trader, that would just take months and months. And then if you were carrying things that were heavy, like furs, if you traded buffalo pelts, hide, like blankets, you know, things of leather that were heavy, imagine the weight of transporting those things that many miles. And what in the world could you trade for that would be equivalent to a buffalo hide? I mean, how much pottery or whatever else? And then how could you guarantee to get that pottery all the way back home without it breaking? Think about that for a minute. There had to have been some kind of ancient packing system. Today we have all this packing stuff. Hey, buddy. Y'all see I took his little bell out. He still wears the collar, but I took his bell out because it was making Ringo mad at him. Ringo did not like that. So he still has the collar, so he still feels big shot. But I took the little ding-a-ling bell out. Look at these guys. They are all over the hillside. They are all over that hillside, living a goat's dream life. And here's the crazy thing. They could find that same stuff along here. But no, they want to go on the hills. They want to go on the hills and be goats, which is scary to me. But that's what they want to do. So I let them. Well, guys, I've kept you for quite the walk today, and I didn't mean to take your time. I didn't mean to sway from animal talk. Pebble still wears an actual ding-a-ling bell because she's a female, and Ringo doesn't seem to let it bother him as much. Of course, we let Bree's little goats still wear their bells because it kind of gives them a little bit of clout amongst all their peers. But those are tiny bells. Those bells are not the same. No one let those bells bother them. Look at these guys. Careful. That's little Elfie right there. Elfie is maybe our best hill climber. I don't know if it's the breed of goat. You know, Elfie is a different kind of breed than most of our goats. Our goats are Boer and Nigerian dwarf for the most part. But Elfie is a different breed of goat. I don't really know exactly the name of his breed. You might can say it in the comments if you know, the funny little ears. But I do believe that the ears are shaped that way because of the fact that where they originate from, they had, maybe their, you know how your body will acclimate to the conditions that you live in, the terrain, the weather. I believe that maybe the ears were a problem. Look how long the ears are on a boar goat compared to how tiny they are on Elfie, his type of goat. And so maybe the ears got in the way. Maybe the ears got hung up on stuff, thorny things. And so over time, the ears became very tiny and pointy, kind of Dr. Spock-ish from Star Trek. But it's a pretty neat little goat. Maggie, you about ready, babe? Lots to talk about in today's. Love to read your comments, especially on the whole motherhood thing. Does that kind of belittle? Is that a little bit belittling and bothersome to those of you who are mothers, or those of you who love and respect your mothers? And then what about Mother's Day? There's a day that's dedicated to mothers. Will that holiday be removed at some point? And it will become known as Caretaker's Day? Or, you know, because, I don't know. I don't know. I think that there's just a new way of thinking, and I'm not keen on that. My mind is not programmed to that kind of thinking, that mentality of thinking. I'd love to hear your thoughts, though. Guys, with that, I'm going to let you go. You guys have a wonderful day.
Don't let your troubles fester. Come watch Longhorn Lester.
Yeah, something like that.